Did you know that millions of engine failures are directly linked to simple oil mistakes? And here's the kicker. Even experienced drivers are making these oil mistakes every single day unknowingly. We'll dive into the 8 worst oil change habits that secretly ruin your engine. By the end of this video, you'll save thousands in car repairs. Number 8. Ignoring manufacturer-specific oil requirements. Your owner's manual specifies a particular viscosity grade and performance rating for a reason. That turbocharged direct injection engine in your new vehicle runs hotter and creates more pressure than older engines, demanding synthetic oils with specific additive packages. Using conventional oil when synthetic is required doesn't just accelerate wear, it can void your warranty and lead to carbon buildup, reduced fuel economy, and premature engine failure. The consequences can be devastating. Incorrect viscosity might seem innocent, but it means your oil either won't flow quickly enough during cold starts, leaving critical components unprotected for crucial seconds, or won't maintain proper film strength at operating temperature. Either way, you're looking at accelerated bearing wear, increased friction, and potentially thousands in repairs. The fix is simple. Open your owner's manual and follow the manufacturer's specifications exactly. Those numbers and letters like 5W 30 inches or API sulfur monophosphide aren't just random, they're a precise formula for your engine's long life. Don't gamble your engine's future to save a few bucks on cheaper oil. Number 7. Overfilling your engine with oil. If a little oil is good, more must be better, right? Wrong. Overfilling your engine's crankcase is surprisingly common, especially among DIYers who don't let the oil settle before checking the dipstick or who simply pour in what they think is the right amount without measuring properly. When you overfill your engine with oil, you're creating a nightmare scenario inside your crankcase. That extra oil gets whipped into a froth by the spinning crankshaft, creating an oily foam that can't properly lubricate critical engine components. It's like trying to wash your hands with whipped cream instead of soap. It might feel nice, but it's not doing the job. Even worse, excess oil puts tremendous pressure on your seals and gaskets. That pressure can force oil past those barriers, leading to leaks, fouled spark plugs, and that dreaded blue smoke from your exhaust. In extreme cases, the extra pressure can even damage your catalytic converter, a repair that can easily exceed $1,500 on modern vehicles. The solution is patience and precision. After draining your oil, add it quart by quart, checking the dipstick after each addition. Remember to wipe the dipstick clean before each measurement and ensure your vehicle is on level ground. That extra 2 minutes of careful measuring could save you from a 4-figure repair bill. Number 6. Using the wrong oil filter. A filter is a filter, right? Wrong. If you've ever grabbed the cheapest filter on the shelf or used whatever was in your garage without checking compatibility, you're rolling the dice with your engine. The wrong filter might physically fit, but that doesn't mean it's providing proper protection for your specific engine. Modern oil filters aren't just simple strainers. They're engineered components with specific flow rates, bypass valve settings, and filtration capabilities designed for your particular engine. Using a filter meant for a different application is like wearing shoes 3 sizes too small. It might technically work, but you're going to have serious problems. The consequences are twofold. Either the filter is too restrictive, causing oil starvation during cold starts and high RPM operation, or it's not filtering adequately, allowing contaminants to circulate through your engine. Those microscopic metal particles act like liquid sandpaper, gradually polishing away at bearings, journals, and cylinder walls until your engine loses compression or seizes completely. Always use a filter that matches or exceeds the manufacturer's specifications. Premium filters often have better bypass valves, finer filtration media, and more robust construction. The few extra dollars spent here could save you thousands in the long run. And remember, just because it threads onto your oil filter mount doesn't mean it's the right one for your engine. Number 5. Changing oil when the engine is completely cold. I'll just change the oil first thing in the morning before it gets too hot outside. Sounds reasonable. But changing your oil when the engine is completely cold is a major mistake many DIYers make. Cold oil is thick and sluggish. It clings to engine surfaces and doesn't drain completely, leaving old, contaminated oil behind to mix with your fresh oil. When your engine is at operating temperature, the oil is thinner and flows more freely, carrying suspended contaminants with it as it drains. Think of it like honey. When cold, it's thick and sticky, but when warm, it pours easily. The same principle applies to your motor oil. Cold oil drainage leaves up to 15% more old oil in your engine compared to warm oil drainage. The consequence? You're essentially diluting your fresh oil with old, contaminated oil that's loaded with acids, moisture, and particulates. This compromises the protection of your new oil from day one and reduces the effective lifespan of your oil change. Over time, this practice leads to increased sludge buildup, clogged oil passages, and accelerated engine wear. The ideal approach is to drive your vehicle for about 10 to 15 minutes to bring the engine to operating temperature, then let it cool for about 10 minutes before draining. This gets the oil warm enough to flow freely but not so hot that you risk burns. It's the perfect middle ground for maximum drainage and safety. Number 4. Reusing the drain plug washer. It's just a little washer, it looks fine for another oil change. Wrong. This tiny component might seem insignificant, but reusing that copper or aluminum crush washer on your drain plug is a serious mistake that can lead to leaks or even catastrophic oil loss while driving. Drain plug washers are designed as single-use crush gaskets that deform when tightened to create a perfect seal between your oil pan and drain plug. Once used, they've already compressed and hardened, making them incapable of forming a proper seal the second time around. It's like trying to reuse a paper coffee filter. It might look okay, but it won't perform as designed. The consequences start with minor seepage that creates that annoying drip spot on your garage floor but can escalate to significant leaks while driving that drop your oil pressure to dangerous levels before you even notice. At highway speeds, you could lose enough oil in minutes to cause catastrophic engine damage. I've seen engines destroyed because someone tried to save 50 cents on a drain plug washer. This one's an easy fix. Always replace your drain plug washer with every oil change. They cost pennies compared to an engine rebuild. Even better, consider upgrading to a Fumoto valve or similar tool that eliminates the need for repeated removal and installation of the drain plug entirely. Number 3. Over-tightening the oil filter or drain plug. Just give it another quarter turn to be safe. Not quite. If you've ever said this while installing an oil filter or tightening a drain plug, you're setting yourself up for a world of pain. Over-tightening might seem like insurance against leaks, but it actually creates more problems than it solves. Oil filters have specific torque specifications, typically around 3/4 turn after gasket contact for spin on filters. Exceeding this can deform the gasket, damage the threading, or even crack the filter housing itself. Drain plugs are even more critical. Over-tightening can strip the threads in your oil pan, turning a simple oil change into a major repair job requiring pan replacement or thread repair. The consequences are painful both mechanically and financially. A stripped oil pan drain plug often means replacing the entire oil pan, a job that can cost $500 to $1,000 depending on your vehicle's design. And if you've over-tightened the filter to the point where it can't be removed without special tools, you're looking at a frustrating and potentially damaging removal process. Next time, follow the manufacturer's torque specifications for your drain plug, typically 25 to 30 feet lbs for most vehicles, and use the hand-tight plus 1/4 turn rule for spin-on oil filters. If you're concerned about leaks, focus on proper gasket preparation instead. A light film of fresh oil on the filter gasket will create a better seal than brute force ever will. Number 2. Neglecting to prime the new oil filter. Just screw on the new filter and fill it with oil from the top. That's plain wrong. This common shortcut skips a crucial step that could leave your engine starving for oil during those critical first seconds after an oil change. Many DIYers don't realize that a dry oil filter can create a dangerous delay in oil pressure buildup. When you first start your engine, before installation, you should pre-fill your new filter with fresh oil and coat the gasket with a thin layer of oil. This ensures immediate oil flow when you start your engine and prevents the brief period of oil starvation that occurs while the system builds pressure to fill that empty filter. In high-performance or older engines, these few seconds without proper oil flow can accelerate wear equivalent to hundreds of miles of normal driving. The consequences are most severe for engines with worn bearings or high mileage, but even new engines suffer from unnecessary wear during this dry start period. Each time you start with a dry filter, you're adding microscopic wear to bearing surfaces, cam lobes, and other precision components. Over many oil changes, this adds up to measurable reduction in engine lifespan. Always take the extra minute to pre-fill your filter before installation. If the filter mounts sideways or upside down and can't be filled completely, at minimum fill it partially and thoroughly coat the internal filter media by pouring oil into it and allowing it to soak in. Your engine will thank you with thousands of additional trouble-free miles. Number 1. Extending oil change intervals too far. My car's running fine. I can probably go a few thousand more miles before changing the oil. Do not do that. This might be the most common and most destructive mistake on our list. With manufacturer recommended intervals already stretched to 7,500, 10,000, or even 15,000 miles in some cases, pushing even further beyond these limits is playing Russian roulette with your engine. Oil doesn't just get dirty, it chemically breaks down over time. The additives that prevent corrosion, control acids, and maintain proper viscosity gradually deplete. Even if the oil still looks clean, modern engines with their tighter tolerances, direct injection systems, and turbochargers put more stress on oil than ever before. Extending intervals might save you money today, but it's writing checks your engine will have to cash tomorrow. Modern engines may be engineered with longer service intervals in mind, but that doesn't mean they're immune to abuse. Many of these extended intervals are based on ideal driving conditions, steady highway speeds, moderate temperatures, and minimal idling. The reality for most drivers involves frequent short trips, stop-and-go traffic, and extended idle time, all of which contaminate oil faster. Relying solely on the mileage counter without considering your actual driving habits is a recipe for hidden damage. Think of your oil like your engine's blood. It's better to replace it a little early than a lot too late. The consequences develop slowly but cost enormously. Extended intervals lead to sludge buildup that clogs oil passages, accelerated wear on bearings and cylinder walls, and in turbocharged engines, can lead to catastrophic turbo failure due to oil coking on the hot bearings. I've torn down engines where the owner proudly claimed they changed oil, only when needed. The sludge inside looked like black cement, and the repair bills ran into the thousands. Stick to your manufacturer's recommended intervals as an absolute maximum, and consider shortening them if you drive in severe conditions, short trips, extreme temperatures, dusty environments, or heavy loads. What makes this mistake particularly insidious is how modern engines mask the warning signs. In older vehicles, dirty oil would manifest as noisy lifters, reduced performance, or visible exhaust smoke. Today's precisely engineered engines can continue running smoothly even as their oil degrades to a dangerous level. This creates a false sense of security. It still runs great, so the oil must be fine, when in reality, microscopic damage is accumulating with every mile. The technical explanation lies in how modern oils break down, not just through contamination but through oxidation and additive depletion. That leaves engine components increasingly vulnerable despite the oil still appearing clean. The scientific reality of oil degradation is unforgiving. Motor oil contains a carefully balanced package of additives, detergents, dispersants, anti-wear compounds, friction modifiers, and antioxidants, each with a finite lifespan. These additives don't just keep your engine clean, they actively neutralize acids created during combustion and prevent metal surfaces from making contact. As these additives deplete, your oil may still look amber and flow smoothly, but its protective capabilities have diminished dramatically. The risk is especially pronounced in vehicles with oil life monitoring systems. These systems calculate oil life based on algorithms that consider mileage, driving conditions, and operating temperatures, but they can't actually measure the chemical breakdown of the oil or its contaminant load. Relying solely on these systems without understanding their limitations is like trusting a weather app that hasn't been updated in weeks. Many drivers push well beyond the system's recommendation, thinking they're still within a safe margin when they've actually crossed the threshold into the danger zone. The algorithms are designed around idealized driving conditions that rarely match real-world usage, especially for vehicles used predominantly for short trips or in extreme weather. Turbocharged engines face even greater challenges with extended oil change intervals. The intense heat generated by turbochargers, often exceeding 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit, accelerates oil breakdown dramatically. This extreme thermal stress causes oil to coat, or carbonize, on hot turbo bearings and oil passages, restricting flow and creating abrasive particles that circulate throughout the entire engine. The precision clearances in these sophisticated components leave zero room for error. Even slightly degraded oil can lead to bearing failure, shaft play, and ultimately catastrophic turbocharger destruction. When that happens, metal fragments from the failed turbo enter the oil system and can spread damage throughout the entire engine. Perhaps most concerning is how extended intervals affect engines with variable valve timing and direct injection systems. These technologies have made engines more efficient but also more sensitive to oil quality. Direct injection creates fuel dilution in the oil that normal driving rarely evaporates, gradually thinning the oil and reducing its lubricating properties. Variable valve timing systems use oil pressure to adjust cam timing, and their narrow oil passages can become restricted by even minimal sludge accumulation. When these systems fail, repair costs frequently exceed $2,000, all to save what amounts to the cost of a few extra oil changes. Is stretching your oil change by a few thousand miles really worth gambling with the heart of your vehicle? Like the video? Also, there are car features you didn't know about. Click this video to know them. Remember, oil change without mistakes makes your engine last. Until next time.